So today's guest has made over $200,000 per year at 20 years old, has tried almost every side hustle on the planet, and has an awesome business on Turo. It is, of course, the amazing Financial Wolf.
Woohoo! Oh! Thank you guys so much for having me.
Why did you get a tattoo of Top G on your...
Probably not the best decision I made.
How did it feel making big money at school?
The first time I ever made a lot of money was from YouTube, actually. I had 1 month on YouTube AdSense where I made...
Making more than your teachers?
Yeah, sometimes.
And making bank at school, did that help with the ladies?
Yeah.
Oh my life. That's that's in-out burger. It's coming out.
It's the way you say in-out burger.
Right. Well, I guess we're keeping that in now.
In-out burger.
Yeah, well, we've just been to In-N-Out Burger.
Let's start with this. What is your issue with Chipotle, which you can't
Chipotle?
say? Yeah, Chipotle.
Chipotle.
And in-out burger, as you say, not in and out.
What
it's
is the
in-out
beef?
burger.
Well, Chipotles, or whatever you want to call them, I really don't like because they just sort of mix it up. They make that blooming wrap with...
Burrito.
It's just never the amount you want of either thing. It's always too much rice or too much this or what, and it's a great big thing, and you can't really eat it. But I hate it.
Well, you can get
Yeah. We can get it in a bowl now. I didn't know that, so now I can have it in a bowl. I can eat what I want as I want. That's fine.
And his issue with In-N-Out is that he can't have a chicken burger.
What is it?
He keeps banging on about how there's only 3 items on the list.
Well, there isn't. There's really only one item on the list plus a milkshake. That's it.
Yeah, but
We'll just pack it differently.
It's the simplicity of the business model that makes them great. They can deliver great prices and great quality products.
But they can't deliver great products and great prices to me because I don't like it. So they're missing out on the big G.
I mean, most people like burgers. the big G.
The big granddad.
The top G.
I do like to eat.
Right, so talking about business, today we're going to be talking to a young entrepreneur, aren't we? And we all started making money when we were younger. I don't know if you want to share your story quickly.
I think everyone knows his story.
Yeah, I
Turned over 250,000.
Well, he went up to 300,000 the other day.
Oh, is that dollars?
It's £250,000.
Oh, okay, so-
year one of business. As much as people like to think that I am a spoilt trust fund brat, which is not true.
You got no money, have you? Let's be fair.
Just to get it into that, yeah. But now you don't have any money because you just bought your watch.
And he's not my son, by the way. Just so that's
Right,
out
let's
there.
just keep this rolling because I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. So today's guest, take it away.
Right. So today's guest has made over $200,000 per year at 20 years old, has tried almost every side hustle on the planet, and has an awesome business on Turo. It is, of course, the amazing Financial Wolf.
Woohoo! Oh!
Welcome to the podcast, the Side Hustle King.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm
That's
excited
all right.
to be in Vegas. This is my first time here, actually.
Yeah, well, any excuse to go to Vegas for the weekend.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm definitely excited. Like yesterday, I walked, up and down the strip. And
You were
saw-
straight down that strip,
oh,
weren't
yeah.
you?
I assume that you're putting a fake ID to good use.
You can't say
No,
that.
I'm not saying anything.
He wouldn't have a fake ID. He's a good,
Of
solid,
course he
wholesome
wouldn't. Of
young
course he
man.
wouldn't.
All I do is do side hustles. I don't
Yeah.
have time for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So talking about side hustles, why did you get into, trying to make money when you're younger? What sparked that passion?
So I would say what sparked it is when I was like maybe 13, 14 years old, my dad started to kind of talk to me about investing. He just works like a normal accounting job, but he had a 401k and he was showing me like, if you get started investing early and you have $1,000 in the stock market at 15, when your retirement age, that'll probably be like 50,000. So I'm like, okay, let me try to get as much money invested right now. So what I started doing was selling candy at school. So this was like my freshman year of high school. I would be going to the sports games at my high school, walking up and down the bleachers, selling candy for less than the concession stand. And another nice thing is I went to them, and like the concession stand, you had to get up, go there. And then I would also sell candy at school, like during the lunch period. And eventually that led to me also making YouTube videos about it.
Did you ever get in trouble for selling candy at school? Because I know that's a big thing that the teachers really hate, like kids doing at school.
Yeah, I don't really know why it's such a big deal, but I definitely did get in trouble, and I think it was especially the fact that I had people like filming me sell candy. So not only was I doing it, but like there was literal proof on the internet of me going to school selling candy. So, you know, probably after like a month and a half of doing it, I got called into the principal's office. They like, I had my bag on me, which is stupid, but they like go through my bag and they're like, oh, Reese's, oh, this is like not with our health codes because they're not allowed to sell stuff with too much sugar. And that was the reason for me not being able to sell candy. And then the principal wasn't like a mean guy or anything. So he tried to make a deal with me where I sell candy only on certain days and the school keeps the money.
Because you're missing the point. I want to make
Yeah,
the money
I'm like,
and then
bro,
invest it.
They want to suck that entrepreneurial spirit straight out of you,
like,
don't they?
so it's only cool if I work for them and do it for free and
Yeah.
they keep all the
They
money.
just want to slave.
Yeah, they're trying to take you from an entrepreneur to working a job.
Yeah, with
that's,
no
what,
pay.
that's what school tries to do.
An unpaid job as well.
Yeah, yeah, bro, it's ridiculous. I think school is good for people who are going to be trained to work a job and be told what to do. But if you want to like do your own business, school is probably not going to be the best place for you. Like I know people study like entrepreneurship at school. I'm like,
There's
bro,
no such thing.
like why are you getting that useless
just
degree?
go and do it,
Yeah, you're going to learn so much more doing stuff in like the real world.
Well, I used to run a candy store when I was at school, and it wasn't against the school rules at the time. And I used to have so much candy because I was buying it in a similar way to what you said before, which was from Costco and places like that. So you got bulk amounts of candy. I had to rent my friend's locker off of him, so I paid him a small amount of money. Actually, it was probably just a candy bar, and I used his locker as well. And it was a thriving business, and actually the first business I sold, looking back on it, because when I left at 16, someone else wanted to take it over. We had queues every single break time.
I really don't get how you can sell a business like that. Surely it's not a brand. Like, what was it called?
Well, I just bought myself. Well, it's Tilbo's Treats.
That's not a bad name, actually.
Yeah.
But surely, like, the guy buying it isn't called Tilbury, so Tilbury doesn't
It
make
didn't
sense.
matter. He bought it for the stock that was there,
Listen,
and
Mark-
also people knew where they needed to go in the school, what locker. He would be there at that time, and he'd be selling candy bars. And also, I never told you this, I also made out of sort of like styrofoam a cool box that fitted exactly into my locker, so I could buy frozen ice popsicles in the summer and cold cans, and I could get more money for
Yeah,
those.
so you see, Mark had the trademark. He had the
I
cool
did.
box patented.
Yep.
You know, Mark had all the
I
IP.
had the web address.
Yeah, the whole thing. locked
although the
off.
web didn't actually
And
exist.
also, if you started selling candy at school while Mark was around, you had problems with Ginger Tilbo.
Well, I
You
just
don't
sent
want
I just sent the boys round. They'd soon stop
You
anyone
don't
else.
want problems with Mark.
Didn't you have a runner as well?
I did, yeah, every day, because we had like houses, you know, like Hogwarts. They have like the different houses, like
Oh.
Slytherin and this, that, and the other.
Is that really how college is or
yeah.
school is in the
Yeah,
UK?
they don't
Yeah,
all
yeah.
look like that. His
Yeah,
school
mine
did
was.
because he went to a posh school, but my school
Well, you
was
sent me there.
I did send it. It was very nice, and we had houses, and I couldn't go into other houses to sell my my sweets, so I had to have a runner to be able to go out there and supply what everyone needed. That only cost a candy
Damn.
bar.
And
so that was
how
well.
much money was this empire making? Like,
Oh,
if
it
you
was
can
a-
recall.
It's hard.
And
50 grand a month.
And how much did you exit for as well?
To be honest, I can't remember those figures because that's it's a little while ago.
About
isn't it?
160
years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was good. It was good fun to do, and I wasn't stopped in any way, shape, or form. They I don't think they encouraged it. They tolerated it. You know, I was a bit of a wild child.
Maybe you were a bit more discreet because you didn't have like a target on your back of making videos.
You had no proof.
I didn't. I didn't video it and post.
Because
but
who would do that?
yeah.
I
mean,
would have loved to have been able to video it, though. To be honest with you, if I could have video stuff, it would be great. But the technology wasn't there for that. It's a shame, really.
So what tips would you give to someone that's looking to start selling candy at school but doesn't want to get caught, other than not posting it on YouTube?
I mean, that's probably a great way to start. But what I would say is, honestly, if you keep it relatively discreet, like the prime time to sell candy is lunchtime. Like when everyone's sitting at the tables, just literally walk around and be like, yo, I've got this candy, like show them it. And a lot of people will buy. Like, I remember my freshman year, I would go to this certain table just full of like seniors, and they would buy like an insane amount every day from me. So once you get those consistent customers, it's a
And
decent
I
business.
think there's a real lesson in there as well. The fact that you're a young kid and you're going around and trying to sell to people older than you, you know, and most people, well, not most people, but a lot of people out there, you know, they can't communicate with people on a level to do business.
For sure. And like, you got to learn, like, the worst thing someone can say is no. Like, a lot of people get so awkward
they
about
could
doing
punch you in the face.
yeah, very unlikely, but they could do that
Yeah.
too. But then for me, in my case, I have that on video. So I got that good content.
Well, you seem a really, really sensible, down-to-earth, great guy. So you've never done anything stupid like get a tattoo or something like that, have you?
Oh, you're trying to bring up my my top G
Oh,
tattoo?
do you have one?
Oh, yeah.
So let's get the hook in here. Why did you get a tattoo of Top G on your leg?
Probably not the best decision I made, but I was with my friends in Florida. We were going to FinCon, right? And one night we were all chilling. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this video talking about how much different influencers make. And Andrew Tate was like, or Top G was one of the biggest YouTubers, social media influencers probably of this entire year. So I was like, you know what? It would be cool for the video if I get Top G tattooed on my leg.
So did you actually interview Top G or not?
I didn't get a chance to, no. So I got that little clip of me getting the tattoo, and it's funny because my parents saw that video and they're like, you're an idiot.
Quick one, if you're finding this episode inspiring and it's making you want to start your own side hustle, let me break down the things you'll need to get started. A logo, a website, and a custom www web address. And that's where our sponsor today, Hostinger, comes in, as they make everything really simple. Hostinger is an all-in-one platform that can help you with all of that in just a few clicks. Every morning when I wake up, I've made money without lifting a finger, and it's all due to the endless money-making opportunities having your own website brings you. Hostinger has absolutely everything you need to launch a website or online shop in minutes without the need for technical or design skills. For less than $3 per month and one click, you can launch your very own website using Hostinger's drag and drop website builder, which includes hosting, a custom domain, and emails. Whether you're looking to sell physical products like me, drop ship, start a newsletter, or advertise your portfolio and services, with Hostinger, the possibilities are endless. If you want to start making money online while supporting this podcast, go to hostinger.com/strikeitbig. That's hostinger.com/strikeitbig to get everything you need to create a website for under $3 per month. And as a special bonus for you guys, use the promo code StrikeItBig for an extra 10% off. That's hostinger.com/strikeitbig and promo code StrikeItBig for 10% off.
But you're also starting this Turo business, empire more like. So can you tell us a little bit about that and what's it like running that kind of business when you're a teenager?
And if you can do it as a side hustle as well.
For sure. So last year in February, actually, so almost a year ago to the date, I bought my first car. It was a 2013 Ford Fiesta for $4,800.
Great car.
I kind of disagree with you on that, but
Did you buy the auto version?
yeah, automatic.
Automatic transmission, give it a wide berth.
Yeah, well, I had so many issues when I bought the car. I bought it, next day the radiator blew. I was like, damn. The owner or whoever sold it to me definitely knew it had issues and all this stuff. Like he even put, this is how dumb I was buying the car. He put tape over the check engine light and I still bought it. Like he was trying to hide the issues and I was like, oh, it's okay. Because I felt like I needed to get a video out that week and I was like, whatever, this car will be fine. Like it'll be good.
Sensual desperation from
Yeah.
Do you know what they used to do in the day? They used to take the bulb out behind that glows the engine light.
That's way smarter.
Yeah. But you can't do it now.
How
because
do you
it's
know
all
that, Dad?
I used to flip a few cars, but nowadays it's all on an integrated circuit board. So if you did take out the LED from behind that particular light, it can also short out everything else. But literally, it was just a simple little bulb, and you could remove it, and it was great. Yeah, how about that?
It was great.
Well, I can see why they changed it.
Yeah, well, they used to do things with electric drills and all sorts to
Right,
speedometers as well,
not
but
going
I wouldn't know
all of
anything
that.
about that.
So you bought this car, the radiator blew. What happened?
So I go back to the guy's house. Like I was filming, like I had a friend like film and I just be like, yo, what the heck? Like I bought the car, the next day it broke and this lady, like the husband wasn't home who actually sold me the car. And she's just like, I don't know, like come back another time and we'll figure it out. And then I come back and they never answered. And yeah, long story short, nothing really came of it. I took the L and it was probably one of the best lessons because, you know, I fixed the car up. I rented it out for a bit just for it to continuously break down. Like so many different issues. Like I had to get a new catalytic converter because the engine light was on. I had to get a new radiator, a bunch of different things, like every problem you could possibly imagine. I probably sunk $4,000 into the car. But at the end of the day, I sold it for like a $2,000 loss after everything. And then I bought 2 more cars to rent out on Turo that I now manage. I'm probably all in on those about $35,000, and they're generating $3,000 a month being rented out. And it's passive until it's not. Like until there's an issue, you're pretty much chilling. Like right now I'm in Vegas and the cars are rented out Fingers crossed nothing happens.
So you had to make those mistakes first before you could actually be profitable.
Yeah.
So what are like 3 things you wish you knew before renting out on Turo?
Okay, so the first thing is the money is made when you buy the car. Like if you buy a crap car, it's not going to make you any money being rented out. And something that actually helped me is looking at companies like Hertz, looking at Enterprise. What kind of cars do they have? Because clearly they've done the trial and error. They know what works. So I decided to go with, more reliable cars, maybe some with like less mileage, because the Fiesta had like 100,000 miles on it. So I started buying cars, under 100,000 miles, around $10,000 to $15,000 is the sweet spot. And then the second thing is have GPSs in your cars, because I've had a few instances where guests rent your car for a day and then take off and never bring it back. You need to be able to know where it is in case something happens. And then the third thing I would say is follow Turo terms of service. And what I really mean by that is take photos of the car to document the condition before it goes out on a trip. Like I'm taking photos of the windshield, I'm taking photos of the back, the side, each wheel to make sure it doesn't have scratches on it, and just making sure that you can prove that the car was not damaged before the trip, and in case damage happens, you can document it so it's covered by insurance.
Are you picky as to who you actually rent the cars to?
Not as much. Just with Turo, it's kind of hard to tell. You don't really have as much of a choice on who you rent to. Like
But they have a history, don't they, on there?
Yeah, some people could rent from you for the first time and you really don't know. But if someone has like a 2-star review, I'm going to try and like decline that booking. But yeah, like I recently had a guest who they rented my car for one day, didn't bring it back after the first day. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? No message back from the guest. I eventually had to reach out to Turo. And since I had the GPS location, they towed it back to my apartment. Car gets brought back, smells like smoke. Literal drugs. Like I'm not like weed, like actual like.
Did these people
Class
look,
A.
well,
Yeah,
hard drugs?
like some crazy stuff.
When they picked up the car, did they look dodgy though?
Oh, yes.
So why did she go through with
No,
it?
but I can't. I already accepted the booking. Like imagine they come to
can't
my
go back
house.
on it.
Well, no, but you can't just sort of open the door and go,
You look like a
you
crackhead."
Look fucking dodgy, mate.
Well,
and not sell it to me.
honestly, if it was my car, I would be like,
Bro,
no.
she had maybe
go
3.
away.
She was like the stereotypical like person who does drugs. Maybe had 4 teeth and like yeah, it was
5
rough.
kids.
A
Yeah.
proper nitty.
Yeah, it was.
So can you not, like you can on eBay, sort of not have any buyers that have got less than 10 feedback or something like that? Can't you have that as a filter?
You can, but then you're obviously going to get less bookings. So I've taken the risk on it a little
Less
bit.
dodgy ones, so.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But the thing is, you make money on sometimes the people who are bad. Like she got charged $650 on a trip that cost $50.
I'll be worried that she even has that money to be charged it.
Turo pays it out, and then she comes after. They come after her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they can't get it, you still get the money. It's all good.
Exactly.
Will Turo just take the loss if they can't get it?
Yeah, and that's what you pay the fees to Turo for. Like every trip, they get 20%. So I'm on the 80-20 plan, which means in the case of an insurance claim, I have a deductible. They pay it out, and they take a 20% fee on every trip on top of that.
Are you ever worried about anyone just stealing your car and never seeing it again?
Actually, where I live, there is like a huge problem with carjackings. So that's why I have 2 GPSs installed. So I have one under the steering wheel, which is like
Oh,
those.
don't tell us where they are.
Okay, well that's the one that like.
And you
that-
got one mystery one.
one mystery one that I'm not going to tell you. So, yeah, that's covered. But if you steal my car, it's probably not the right one to steal because I know where it's going to be. Unless you're really smart and you can figure out where that second GPS is.
What do you think about renting Teslas out on Turo? Because we had a guest recently and he's saying he had this friend that got about 30 Tesla cars
Yeah, all on
finance.
finance, yeah.
Yeah, and then he put them on Turo and he was renting them out for like 150 a day. Then I think the Teslas dropped in value or something like that. And now we can only get 70 a day for them. And the numbers just don't make sense anymore.
I would say, honestly, Tesla is probably the worst car you can rent out on Turo. Number one, it's expensive. Number two, you're going to have a lot of guests that return it on 0 battery, and that's going to be a pain to deal with. And number three, a lot of people buy Teslas, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to subsidize owning it by renting it out on Turo. It's a very popular thing to do. And usually when there's a lot of people doing it, there's going to be competition. I'm not a big fan of renting expensive cars. Like I think there's just a lot of risk with depreciation, whereas the cars I'm buying, they're $10,000. So it's like, what are they going to depreciate to $5,000 by the time I I sell it and I'll make that money back more than double renting it out.
Yeah, because it's interesting that you say that, because this particular guest had a big issue with depreciation specifically. He said that everybody on Turo, that they don't know what they're doing, they're not depreciating the vehicles correctly, and in 2 years' time, they're going to, come to a realization that they're not making money at all. So do you feel that you could be in a similar boat at all, or are you certain that you are making money?
He was also saying like that he takes lots of people take all the profits they make from cars, just stick it into their pocket and don't reinvest it back into the business.
And their cars are on finance.
Do you know what? He said so much. He made a really good case for why you shouldn't be on Turo.
And I'm here to make a really good case as to why you should.
The
And
issue
how
is-
easy it can be.
I wish we could remember every point that he made. That he made some really good points. but-
I think that was the main point. There's lots of people that don't really know how to run a business. They're taking all the profits out and they're not depreciating the vehicles correctly.
So for me, at least with my cars, it's in a separate bank account. So all of the money that gets paid into it stays in that account, and any expenses I have get taken out of it. I have not taken a single cent off of my cars yet. So I have not an insane amount, but maybe like 10 grand in that account.
One of his points, I remember, he was talking about how they use other people's cars and they're like fucking people over.
Yeah, so there's lots of people that don't actually rent out their own cars. They just get like a friend. They say, oh yeah, I'll rent your car out on Turo and then I'll pay you a bit of money, and they make like the middleman fee. What do you think of that?
You have a similar system, don't you?
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. Me and him should probably debate, but basically, I
make a great
actually have a service where I help people find a Turo car. They pay a setup fee, and I help them find a car, get it on insurance, get it a lockbox, pretty much get it ready for Turo, and then I rent it out. They get 70%, I get 30%. So on a car, I'm making $300 to $400 a month, and then they're making $700 to $800. I think the key is just getting the right cars. So they're paying that fee for me to find them a car that's actually going to be good for Turo, because it's not, in my opinion, good to buy a brand new car because you're going to have so much depreciation, and it's not good to buy an expensive car.
Yeah, I think that's slightly different though, because you're buying an actual car for the platform rather than just using their car that they have on their drive and then paying them a bit of money. So I think it's a different thing from what Lucky was saying.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the margins on it aren't anything crazy. Like to be honest, like $300-$400 a month per car to manage it is a good amount of work. But I have someone who's willing to do it, and it is profitable right now.
So how much money have you actually made up to now in profit, or are you still negative?
Oh, on Turo? So I actually just did a video on this. So for my personal cars, not including the management business, because that's kind of a separate thing. For my personal cars, I profited like $5,600 in my first year. And that's with me losing money for probably the first 6 to 8 months of that. So I didn't start making money until I really figured it out. And I feel like that's kind of how it is with anything. Like for my YouTube channel, I didn't make my first $8 off AdSense until making videos for a year and a half. So I'm sure you guys know how it is. Like when you start a business, you got to be patient, because so many people start things and then don't get results in 6 months, and they're like, oh, it must not be the right business. It's like, no, you just didn't put enough work into it and you didn't figure it out.
They either give up in 6 months, or they hit 2 years to 3 years when the tax is cut in, so that puts them out of business. If you get through the first 3 years, definitely the toughest. Get through 6 and then you're running.
Well, not me. I don't know if you know this, but I actually turned over $350,000.
I'll leave it out.
year
How many
one.
times do you mention
Yeah,
this?
but-
You've already
but
mentioned this at the start of
you
the thing.
started your business during the pandemic,
Yeah.
and it was a certain perfect storm, which wouldn't be the same nowadays.
No, 100%. That's why I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
What was it?
I was selling gaming accessories on eBay.
Okay.
You
But
could give
I-
them a shout out anyway.
Who?
The people that have it now.
No one.
Well, he hasn't sold it yet. You can't be
you can't be
that.
saying that. Yeah, I might sell it. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, I was just like buying from China. So I had like a UK distributor where I was selling like branded goods like G Fuel and stuff like that. But the majority of my money was coming from China. I was buying lots of like spares, replacement analogs, replacement bumpers and stuff. I was buying stuff for like 4 or 5 cents and selling it for like $3.99.
Nice.
And yeah, turned over $350,000 year one, made a quick 100K, and transitioned it into working with these guys. And
That's awesome.
How about your other Turo business? Because you said about your personal one. How much is the bigger business made?
So that one's a little bit tough since we've spent a lot of money trying to hire people to scale, because our goal last year was to get 100 cars in Denver that we manage for other people. We
100 cars at 20.
100 cars of other people's that we're managing. We only got to 40, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we had so many issues scaling. Like we could find a lot of people who are willing to invest, but our issue was making it a system to where we could actually manage the cars. So we tried to bring on people from mechanics to people who, vacuum the cars. And I had a really tough time finding the right people. Like we finally got to a point now where I think we got the right team. But for a while, it was like we hire someone, they'd promise all this stuff up front, and then they just didn't put in the work. And we were paying this money to have a lot of issues. So it was definitely a learning curve with that.
Is there enough demand on Turo for all of these cars?
I would actually say yes. I think Denver is probably the number one Turo market, in my opinion, just because you have the people in the summer coming. They love the mountains. And in the winter, it's all about skiing. So you have a good base of customers. And in Denver, we only do airport rentals too. So we don't have to deal with the local guests, which with me, I deal with a lot of that. Like a lot of my guests are people who live in the area. Whereas in Denver, we just have people who are coming on vacation and they just rent a car, go to the mountains, and it's a lot better. And our utilization is probably around 70 to 80%.
So how do you store
everyone
the
move
cars?
to Denver now?
How do you store the cars if, say, for example, you get 2 or 3 days of no hire, you've got 30 cars to find space for? Is that a problem?
Yeah, so we actually rent some spots at an airport parking lot. It's like an airport parking lot that you have to take about a 6-minute shuttle from the airport to. They give us a decent rate, so we have some extra spots there, and we're way in the back. So it's like the spots that are almost always empty. So we have a deal with the person that we pay a monthly fee to have. I think we have like 15 spots since the cars are mostly always gone. So usually there's not more than like 5 there, honestly.
So how much revenue is like 40 cars bringing into the business?
So the 40 cars are doing around $45,000 a month in revenue. Obviously, a large portion of that gets paid out. So our bank account is inflated, and at the end of every month, it's way lower because a lot of that's paid out to people. So obviously, if you take 30% of 40K, what are we bringing home? Like $12,000 for management fee. And we're still at a point where we're not making a ton on the management, but as we get to 100 cars, because we have the people in place now I think we can scale to that. And once we have 100 cars, it'll be pretty profitable, and then we're going to move to another market.
Do you feel like having the YouTube channel helps attract the clients and everything?
Yeah, to be honest, like most of our clients come from YouTube. Like a couple of them are like ones that Aaron had before, but a lot of them are just people we had from YouTube. And the nice thing is a lot of the people who buy one car with us buy more. So they like the first one, and then they buy a second one, a third one, a fourth one. Like we have one guy who's going to buy like a bunch. So it's not even about getting individual people. You can get one guy who buys 20 cars.
How did it feel making big money at school?
Yeah, so I think the first time I ever made a lot of money was in late 2019 from YouTube, actually. I had 1 month on YouTube AdSense where I made $3,000, and I was like 17 years old, and I was also reselling phones and electronics at that time. So I was making like probably $4,000 in like a good month at that age, and I was at school, and I'm like, why am I even here, bro? I'm making like enough money to live.
Making more than your teachers.
Yeah,
and the good thing
sometimes.
about YouTube is that's majority of that's profit, isn't it? So that's really cool compared to other businesses where you have to have huge payouts.
Like the Turo business. that
Yeah,
you've got.
exactly.
And making bank at school, did that help with the ladies?
I wish it did. I don't think I even really I had one girlfriend in high school, and that was like someone I knew from like way many years before. So nothing like that. No. Sadly, I probably should have. But
Well, you only had to buy a Lambo.
I know, dude. I should have bought a nice car.
You're going for all those cheap cars. You need to get the expensive
Bro,
ones.
I know. I have my car that I actually drive, even though I don't drive that much, is a 2007 Toyota Corolla.
Nothing wrong with
I
that.
mean, I started off with
I was just about to say that you should have wore your Toyota belt today.
listen to
Shout
this.
out to Grandma and Granddad.
They won't watch this. I hope they
Hopefully
don't watch
not.
this.
Right, here we go.
Right. So my big Christmas gift one year, because I drove a Toyota Yaris, which is similar.
I know
to,
exactly what car that is.
Yeah, they decided to get me a Toyota Bout.
Like it's a
belt
with a
Toyota.
They thought
on
I
it.
was so proud of driving my car. I wanted to wear a belt with Toyota.
Like, you don't-
Curtis knew he'd bought a beaten up car because he was likely to beat it up even more in the first year or so of driving it. He wasn't the slightest bit proud of it. It just gets him from A to B, and it was like, oh, he loves his car.
Like, I don't think people who buy Toyotas and Hondas buy them to buy a nice car. They buy it because it's a cheap car. It's something that'll get them from A to B. But that's funny, bro.
I've got a Tesla now. I wouldn't mind wearing a Tesla Bout, but even then, that's a bit gimmicky.
so corny.
Do you have one of those license plates that says no gas, like every Tesla owner has?
No, what's that then?
Oh
Well,
no,
it
but
just says
it's
no
it's
gas
not.
on it.
But bro, I don't know what it's like here, but in the UK, like getting plates like that, it's not.
very
It's a
hard.
myth. Like you.
Oh,
like,
really?
It's got like a green bit on it to show
Yeah,
that it's an
that's all.
electric car.
But yeah, like you're talking about a private plate.
Yeah, that says no
like
gas
like
as the
custom.
number.
Yeah.
So our plates, like, they have to be like a certain kind of way.
Yeah. We've got a friend that's got Elon Musk as a number plate.
Oh, nice.
That's in America.
Yeah, he's just up the road.
In
You
the
know him.
In the UK, you would never, like, to get a plate like that, it would be like, often plates are worth more than the car itself, even if you've got like a super car.
So how do they all have the same one then? No gas.
Oh no, they have like different ones. Like I think you can only have one of the same like type of plate per state, but obviously there's 50
per
states.
state,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, it's weird. Like in the US, like each state has its own laws. Like it's like you can go to California and they say you have to do it this way, whereas everywhere else it's different.
Yeah, like if in the UK, let's say I wanted to have something that was like YC67, but then Kai at the end, that would be like pretty cheap. You know, you pick it up for a few £100. But if you wanted it to just be like Kai or like Kai with a number on the end, it'd be so much money.
That's like my one. My one sort of spells, well, it's ML. Well, I won't say what it is, but it spells out Mark likes to fly because I like to fly RC
I never knew
aircraft.
that.
That's on the van. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So how
Was
much
that
is
on purpose? No, that
No,
wasn't.
it wasn't on purpose. I just happened. The guy.
Just made that
Oh,
up.
so that cost nothing.
No, it didn't cost me anything because the guy before me, his name was. Well, I can say it as Mark Leavesley Aviation Fly. So, but it spells Mark likes to fly. So it's quite handy, really.
A
It's
side
the only plate I can ever remember having.
Oh, see, yeah.
A side hustle like no one ever talks about is recharging electric scooters. So can you tell us a bit about that? Because I know you've had some experience.
Yeah, so I was in Austin, Texas. This is when I was living there. I was walking the streets downtown and I see someone, you know, taking electric scooters and putting them in their truck. And I've heard about the side hustle at this
I think,
point.
oh, he's stealing it.
Yeah, no, I didn't think that. I knew what he was doing. So I run up to him and I was like, hey, are you doing the scooter charging side hustle? And he was cool. So he's like, yeah. I was like, hey, would you mind if I film you tomorrow and, you know, show about the business? And long story short, he actually had a little warehouse, like a small shed in like off of downtown in Austin. And he spent all day picking up 20, 30 electric scooters, plugging them in, and then in the next few hours, pick up more, bring them there. And it was pretty much running 24/7 because while he wasn't charging, he would rent out the space to other people who do it. So he was making $700 a day or so doing that side hustle.
Do you think the scooter charging side hustle is actually good for teenagers to start?
Yeah, it's tough because you do need a few things to get started. So number one, you need to buy chargers for each scooter. Those will probably run you like $3 to $10 depending like what kind of chargers you get. Number two, you also need a truck, which kind of makes things difficult. You can do what I did when I tried it, which is rent a U-Haul, but you're paying $20 a day for the U-Haul plus per mile.
Yeah, it's eating into your margin.
So it really eats into your margin. But yeah, you're going to need your own truck. If you have access to a truck, I would definitely say it's a solid side hustle. Also, you want to live in a city because at least in the US, you're not going to find bird scooters in the suburbs. Like you got to be close to downtown where there's a lot of foot traffic. But when I did it, it was interesting because it got a little competitive sometimes because there was a lot of other people doing it.
But how do you actually find these scooters? They should.
I was
they
going to
must
say
be
they have
dotted around.
GPSs, I think, don't they?
Yeah, so
Because I've got a friend that was doing it, and he was picking up signals from like in the Thames in London, where people have just slung them over the bridge or over the wall, and you go, "Well, you're not deep sea diving for that, surely?"
Depends how much you want that £6.
I guess so.
yeah, so pretty much what you have to do is like on like your phone, they like basically show you the ones that need to be charged and you can like ring it. So you can kind of hear and like listen to roughly where it is. Sometimes it was like in spots where I couldn't even go. Like it would just be like over like a fence and I'd have to like trespass to get the scooter.
Danger money.
Yeah. But then sometimes there would be like a group of 3 or 4 like right by each other that all need to be charged. And those were money. So sometimes it would get competitive where I'd try to get there first and there would be someone else who already scooped them up and it's like, damn.
I guess it's kind of limited to the amount of people that can actually try it then. I'm surprised those scooter people let you film it because the more
Yeah.
people that get involved, the less money they make if you think about it.
Yeah, they're actually like somewhat limiting how many people can do it. So sometimes they like put you on a waiting list and you have to wait a little bit to be accepted. Just like those other apps, like there's an app called Wag where you can walk dogs. There's an app, you know, there's a, like Uber. Sometimes they limit how many people can sign up just so the people that are doing it are making enough money.
What I personally loved about you doing it was how elegantly you put the scooters in the back of the U-Haul, like, you know, really taking care of them and lining them up.
I was just chucking them in there. I
We'll
was like,
put
I
a
don't-
picture on the screen. I just looked at it and I thought, I can't believe they're doing
Bro,
that.
people roasted me, but I was like, I don't got time. I'm just loading them in there.
Something I see so much on YouTube is people flipping Amazon return packages. It's like this massive trend. Like, is it really a thing, or are people just making the videos and they're faking it and trying to get views?
Are they phase rugging it?
Oh, yeah, I love that term. But you're gonna notice like those videos get like millions and millions of views. So I tried it because I saw, people were doing well with it, and I kind of wanted to see how it really is. So I bought 2 pallets. I did it twice actually. And the first time I only made $100. The next time, similar experience. And I talked to the guy who owned the pallet place, and he told me that the key is to buy the ugly pallet. I was going for the pallets that had like good stuff on it. I was like, oh, I know I can sell this. I know I can sell that. But
other people know they can sell it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they price it accordingly. What you want to do is get the pallet where you can't tell what's on it, or it doesn't look great, and you can find a market for it. That stuff you can get like 10% of retail value just because it's going to be hard to sell.
Yeah, because you could have the same products, but people have just returned them in normal cardboard boxes. The fact you can't see what's in there can be some right diamonds in the rough.
Shall we make one of these Amazon return videos? We'll be, oh my God, a PS5, a diamond ring, a Rolex.
I can't believe it.
Do you think people are doing that?
So actually, my editor right now used to work for a channel that did videos like that, where he would unbox these pallets. And
Shame on him.
yeah, I'm not
Shame on him.
I'm not gonna say the name, but pretty much this dude would just put like fake. He would fake it like super bad. Like he would put like iPad boxes, PS5 boxes, and be like, "Oh my God, look what I found!" And like it would be completely fake.
Shame on you, phase
So
rug.
how do you go about finding these pallets? Who's selling these pallets?
So you can literally just go on Facebook Marketplace and look up like pallet liquidation, and there's a bunch of places that do it. Like even where my parents live, which is a smaller town, like they offer it. Like there's a huge business in it because people are buying truckloads of these pallets from Home Depot. Because what you might not realize is when you return stuff to Walmart, you return stuff to Target, a lot of times they don't put that back on the shelf. They just ship it off to a liquidation spot, sell it for cash, and then those people take that and sell it to resellers.
Why don't they just break it down and sell it themselves rather than selling it off to someone else to do that?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I think they just don't want to deal with it. And sometimes the products are damaged. Like I've had a pallet where one time, the reason I didn't make money on the second one is one of the products that I thought would be one of the most valuable turned out to be broken. I was like, damn, like that really sucks.
Well, Amazon have actually started reselling some of their returned products now. I think it's Amazon Warehouse or something it's called.
Yeah, there's like the secret Amazon section.
Yeah,
where
so
you
you can go in there and you can find some of the return product, but there's certainly a lot of money in it. I bought lots of Dremels once upon a time. I mean, literally hundreds of things, and it was just before a show, and it was fantastic because these Dremels were selling at about £150 each, and I was selling them at £75 each, and literally most of them were brand new. They were just returns, and we sold the whole lot in a 2-day show.
How do you know about the secret Amazon section?
because
How
because I follow Mark Tilbury.
There you go.
So what's the best like Amazon return package you bought, and how much money did you make?
So both of the pallets I bought were Home Depot returns, and they were tools. I wouldn't actually recommend it because those are products that people are looking for. Like those are things that are super easy to sell. Like I remember I'd list the stuff on Marketplace. Everyone was messaging me. It went really quick. The issue was the margins on it wasn't great. So I was maybe getting it like, let's say I got a tool for $70. I was reselling it for like $80 to $90. And it's like, you're going to make more money buying like straight up Amazon returns or different items where you might not have as big of a market for it, but when you find the right buyer, you're going to make more money.
Yeah, the only sales of pallets I've ever been to, they've done like a day sale, and I've always waited till the end. The stuff that hasn't sold that people go, oh, it's not that appealing. Not only can you, it's a lower price because it's not appealing, you can offer a much lower price because they want those last few pallets gone. So if anyone's watching that wants to have a go at it,
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonably good tip as well, and you'll get some good stuff that way.
Yeah, like they know what they got. Like if it's worth a lot of money, they're not going to be selling it for cheap. Whereas the stuff that's, kind of in the back, that's where you can get a deal. That's
As
a good
I
point.
understand it, one of the first things you did was resell iPhones. Is that a good side hustle? How did that go?
Yeah, honestly, this is still one of my favorite side hustles. So when I was maybe 15 years old, I started a business where I would post ads on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace like, oh, I'll pay cash for your electronics. People would message me with what they have to sell, and then I would offer them $50 to sometimes like $100 less for it than what I know I could sell it for. And you'd be surprised. People just want to get rid of their old electronics. They want quick cash. They don't want to deal with selling it themselves.
It's crazy how lazy people
Bro,
are, isn't it?
Yeah, people overcomplicate it. They're like, oh, I don't know anything about that. But if they took 30 minutes to research, they would have made way more money.
So what's the best thing you bought, and how much did you make on it?
Dude, one time I bought this is kind of sketchy, but I bought someone's iPad Pro, and apparently it was his girlfriend's, and they broke up or something, and
Oh.
he sold it to me, and it had a passcode on it because I would buy locked phones too back then. And I buy this iPad, and if it's iCloud locked, you can't, you have to sell it for parts. So I bought it at parts price. And I take it home and I'm like, I'm just going to see if I can remove the password, because you can remove the password, but you can't remove the iCloud. So I plug it in, and sure enough, I remove the password on the phone. It has no iCloud, and I turned like $100 into $500-600.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's a
Yeah.
good one, isn't it?
And when you went to sell these things, surely that's a bit sketchy in it sometimes. I mean, you're a young guy.
Yeah, I actually got robbed one time, and then one time I almost got robbed. Like I was with my dad because I was way younger, and he's like, "Yeah, don't leave the store," because the guy was super, super sketchy, and we just waited until he left. But he seemed really sketchy this one time. But one time I was dumb, and I met this kid in front of a gas station to sell an iPhone like 12 mini or something like that. And he's looking at the phone, and he's like, "Hey, I don't have internet. Could you like use your hotspot or something?" And I have my phone in my car, and I was right next to it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll just grab my phone real quick." The second I open my car door, dude runs off with my phone. And I was like, damn, he got me good. But now I know, meet people inside. Like, it's not smart to meet in front of stores.
That's crazy. So you were selling him a mini phone. Like, do you have like a thing for mini phones?
I guess.
Like,
I guess my phone's
you
small.
only deal in
He
mini
was
phones?
roasting me
Yeah,
earlier.
We just got some food, and I just looked at your phone. I'm like, what is that? I've never even seen it
Yeah,
before.
it looks like it's like one of the early phones.
It looks
but
like an
it's-
iPhone 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an iPhone 13 mini. I
Yeah.
didn't even know they did a mini.
No.
Yeah.
I only thought they did those for like 5-6-year-olds.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess I got the 5-year-old phone, but it was cheap, and I like saving money. So
So did you ever buy any like dodgy products that you actually thought, oh no, what if I bought this lump of rubbish for?
I used to do this thing where, like, especially if you live in like a lower income area, people finance phones and then they sell them for cash and never pay the payment. It ruins their credit, but people do it. So I used to meet up with this guy like every week. Actually, a few people did it for me, and they'd sell me like 3-4 like iPhone X's brand new in the box financed, and then I would just sell it because they can't be unlocked if they're still financed, but they work on the carrier. So I would buy it and then just
So
resell it.
it sort of sounds like the side hustle that no one's talking about. You know, if you just go and finance a $1,000 phone
It's free money.
and then just sell it for $300, you just got some free money.
Yeah,
Don't
it doesn't
do that
quite
at
work-
home.
doesn't quite work like
I
that,
can't
guys.
believe that people do that.
Yeah,
It's
except
insane.
you're never going to be able to buy anything else in your life. And then after a while, the carriers will stop financing phones
Yeah,
to you because
like-
it's like, bro, you bought 50 phones and never paid
One
the
thing
payment.
I'm so thankful of is that I like understood a credit score from a young age, because I know so many people that just like they don't pay a parking fine, or they don't pay their phone bill or something like that, and their credit score is ruined. It's
Yeah.
going to be like that for a decade. So I'm so glad that I knew that from a young age. If there's one thing that you do young, it's make sure you've got a good credit score, get a credit card, start building it up young.
Look
And he
at
knows
you.
that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he followed Mark
Mark
Tilbury.
Tilbury.
Good example for the youth.
Yeah, that's me.
So Bitcoin mining was this massive trend like a couple of years ago when the markets were going crazy. Now it seems like it's died down a bit. Is it still worth getting into?
Yeah, so a few years ago, I made a video with this one guy who had a huge Bitcoin mining facility located on an Iowa wind farm. So at that time, the machines were worth probably $20 million. Like, this is a huge facility. He had a bunch of investors, and I toured the facility, and he's telling me like he's making like $300,000 a month on these machines. Like, his electric bill was still like 150 grand, but Bitcoin was at like $40,000-50,000 a coin at that time, so it was super profitable.
So was he actually selling the coins that he mined, or did he just keep them?
So his issue is he is a huge believer in Bitcoin, and he always believed in buying and holding. His perspective on that has changed now that he knows the market's very cyclical, but he held
gotta take
everything.
your profits,
He
haven't
didn't
you?
take his profits. So as the markets dipped, he was forced to sell some of his crypto because it got to a point where his electric bill and his overhead costs were more than what he was actually mining. And he said he's lost $2 million of Bitcoin since the start of the bear market. And it's definitely interesting. Like, the machine prices have come down a lot. The amount of money you're making mining Bitcoin has come down a lot. And it's really only profitable, I'd say, if you can work with someone who has low electricity rates. Now, he's located in like a very rural area where you can get lower electricity rates. But if you try to mine at your house, you're literally going to spend more money on electricity than what crypto you're actually mining.
And you say he's near a wind farm, so it's a green electricity, so that sort of counters the argument against the mining a little bit.
A little bit. Like, his electric bill is still like $150,000 a month, as I mentioned, but obviously the wind energy kind of subsidizes it. I think it helps the grid.
Yeah.
So how are you doing? Because I know you bought a few machines yourself.
Yeah, so I have about 2 machines now that I spent maybe $4,000 to $5,000 on them, and they're gonna generate about $100 per month each, which isn't crazy. But my plan is to pay the electric bill and then just keep the Bitcoin and hold it. So it's basically like buying Bitcoin at $100 a month discount.
So I assume as the Bitcoin price goes up, say the Bitcoin price doubles, you'll be making double that per month.
Exactly, because it's a fixed amount of Bitcoin that gets released. Like the dollar amount for the price doesn't matter.
So the guy that you're putting them with, sorry, Kai,
it's okay.
how's he earning his money? Is that from, like, I don't know, an increase in electricity price to them, or rent on putting their computers in, or how's he making his money?
So he makes money on the spread of electricity. So I think he probably pays 4 cents a kilowatt, and I'm getting charged 6.5 cents per kilowatt. So that spread, or like the $2 to $3 a day extra, is his profit. He also has some of his own machines, and then he charges like a rent fee to some people. He has like a plan with people who buy like maybe like 500, 1,000 machines. Like he works with like big dogs who buy a lot of stuff, and he just charges them like a fixed amount per month to store their machines there.
I watched a video on these units that he's got all these machines in, and obviously the thing with these crypto mines, that they create so much heat, don't they? And they've got all these fans blowing, which are noisy on themselves. But it's just like wasted heat, and I can't understand why they haven't come up with something, because it's a fixed heat source. You would think you'd be able to blow it into, I don't know, agricultural wind tunnels where you're growing fresh fruit or something like that. Yeah, it just seems a waste. And if you could try and harness that again, if you're producing it from wind farms, that's going through there and the heat's being used as well. Surely that's good for the environment.
Well, we know someone that did exactly that. Mike Winnett, wasn't it? He
did,
used to heat his office with his whole mining.
Yeah, he had three mining rigs, and he actually got rid of one because it was too hot in the office with 3 mining rigs. So he got rid of one. But the reason he kept the other 2 is because they used it as the heating for the office, didn't they? And okay, it didn't make any money. It sort of broke even, but it heated the office. That was their upsell.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. A lot of people commented on the videos I made like, oh, he's destroying our environment to mine fake currency. And in some ways, I kind of agree. Like, obviously, Bitcoin is based on energy, but it's so inefficient. Like, these are super loud mines, too. Like, when you go inside...
Loud?
Yeah, when you go inside a
very
crypto
loud.
mine, it's
I didn't know
100 decibels.
Yeah, like the shooting range, you need your headsets on, don't
Yeah.
you?
Really? What?
Yeah.
Because of all of the
All
whirring?
the fans and everything.
Yeah, like these computers are super, super powerful, and they're only going to continue to get more powerful because
For
obviously...
some reason, I thought it'd just be quiet.
No, a lot of the mines in the US have been shut down, haven't they, because of the noise complaints.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I know there was a mine in Norway. I was doing research for a video. This is the only way I know this, but it literally got shut down for noise pollution. Like it was so noisy for the residents that were near it that they forced it to shut down.
It's like having a turbine jet on an aeroplane constantly running in your back garden. That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's
amazing.
insane.
That's crazy. So is Bitcoin mining really worth it as a teenager? Would you recommend it?
I would probably not recommend it. Like obviously, as with anything, you can make money. There's people making money. But what I would say is if you have $5,000 to $10,000, you're probably better off just buying crypto.
So what do you think about Bitcoin as a whole? Because I'm not sure.
Dude,
He's a wimp. He
I'm
won't
a
buy
huge
it.
believer.
Yeah,
huge.
we're in on Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yep.
Got a little bit Cardano.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not much. But we're pretty keen to hold it and maybe buy some more and work with it. We've even spent some recently as well.
It's
but
because
we're going to replace
it's because we have balls.
No,
And
but
he
the thing is,
doesn't.
okay, here it is. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it does take off and I get left behind. I'm actually really not oblivious to that. But I just think that the only reason crypto is remotely good is because just crypto bros buy it and then other crypto bros buy it and they're all just in it together, making it go up. You know, like what is it actually used for that's going to take off? I mean, and I know that you would say that like people before would have said, oh, what's the internet for? You know, and then it took off. But it's just like, it just doesn't seem viable or worth it.
I actually have a good answer to that.
go
So
on then.
crypto,
Convince me.
so what we talked about is the electricity, right? Crypto is based on math and energy. So the $150,000 a month electric bill that JP pays is for securing the Bitcoin network to make sure people can send their Bitcoin, you spend it, it literally secures it and Bitcoin is given in return. His whole mine is less than 1% of the Bitcoin network. So he has $20 million of machinery, millions of dollars a year in electricity spend. All of this money is going into this industry, and that's less than 1% of the entire network. So you have to think billions and billions of dollars are invested to support everything. So there is inherent value in crypto. Obviously, there needs to be demand for people to buy it.
Because what I just don't get there is like that makes sense as to sort of why it would go up, but then it still doesn't make sense as to why you would actually want it or why you would use it or why it would take off. So the only thing that does make it go up is other crypto bros liking it.
Yeah.
So as soon as they lose faith, then there's no use for it at all. Whereas that's why I prefer stocks, because it's actually, I'm investing in a real life company that's doing real things and I know what I'm getting for my money and I can actually research that company, see what they're doing in the real world instead of just buying some random coin and pray. I like to keep the odds in my hands instead of just buying some random coin and not knowing.
But I mean, what's the
happen.
use of any currency though?
Yeah, like the dollar, like they're printing massive amounts of money.
I think that I also don't see how a government would let anything take over though.
They're trying to make their own currency. I don't know if you
but
guys
then
have
that
looked
wouldn't
into
affect Bitcoin though, would it? Surely.
They're trying to make a CBDC, which is a central bank digital currency, and that literally goes against the basis of crypto. Like the reason I think crypto is so cool is because it's not like you can magically print more Bitcoin. Like it's worth a fixed amount. That's why I think the dollar was much better when it was on the gold standard.
Of course.
Because it was literally backed by something. Now it's not backed by anything.
Just
Like
a
faith.
promise.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if Bitcoin did start to somehow take off and everybody starts using it and it's becoming the currency of the world. Knowing what the governments are like, I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if they just went, right, no one's using that anymore.
But can they stop people using it? If it's so decentralized, it'd be very hard. And if people get used to using a digital currency, then surely they'd be more likely to use Bitcoin as a store
And
of wealth.
also, it's the altcoins, isn't it? It's the altcoins that have given crypto a bad name,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And obviously some of the exchanges as well, should we say. But Bitcoin on its own and Ethereum on its own are a solid currency.
I agree.
I don't know. I think I would rather invest my money in stocks or a business
Or a Rolex.
or
or a
Rolex,
$15,000 watch.
So, something that is in my control.
You
instead
like
of-
a tangible asset, don't you?
Yeah.
yeah.
And at the
Or
end of the
stocks.
day, as I say to everyone, on my investing portfolio, you won't find more than 5% at any one time in cryptocurrencies. At the moment, it's probably about 3%. And of course, that doesn't leave me open. I mean, we could lose all the crypto. The maximum I could lose in my investments is 5%.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I was worth like 250 billion like you are, then I'd probably put a bit in crypto as well. But I mean,
When did I
I'm
say
not quite
that?
there yet.
Damn.
When did I say it?
It's not
I've
quite
never
that
said
much.
I'm just taking the piss.
But what I will also say is in the countries where they've tried to implement CBDCs, which I think might be the future of currency, people are using Bitcoin because they don't trust the central banks
Yeah,
with
like
their money.
Venezuela, for
Yeah.
example. Yeah.
So it's already being implemented in places where the currency is useless. So
I mean, that's been happening for years. I mean, I went to Bulgaria just after it went out of communism to go skiing. And out there, you needed dollars. Yeah, it was a waste of time having any other currency because you didn't know what it's worth.
Yeah.
People you were spending with didn't know what it's worth. So people will always jump on a currency they know the value of. And I think Bitcoin could very well replace the dollar as that extra currency
But
in other areas.
It needs to stabilize first because people won't understand the value.
And the
will they?
Western world just won't let that happen, though. I just can't see them letting that happen.
yeah, I'm
Might
not
not
sure.
have no
People are
choice.
idiots.
To be fair, I don't know. I'm not into it really. This is just my thoughts as to why I'm not that into it. But I mean, I haven't researched it. I'm really not into it at all. But I just don't see why a strong government would let that happen.
Have you ever heard of a strong government?
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever. No, but they're still powerful.
Well, it's the people above
I
them.
guess
isn't
we're
it?
time will tell,
So,
won't we?
so
Time
the
will
US
tell.
government aren't powerful.
I don't believe so. I believe the people above them are powerful.
All right, well, whatever then. Like,
There you go.
Yeah,
There
all
are
right.
people controlling the world.
Let's not
Who
get-
runs the
Puppet
world?
masters.
Let's not
Matrix,
open that can of worms.
Yeah.
So we've talked loads about side hustles, and you've tried so many of them. But are there any like future side hustles you want to try that you haven't yet?
Yeah, so a big one. My goal is to get into that this year is Airbnb. So I've done a lot with, Turo, Bitcoin mining. And the thing about those is, yes, they have cash flow. It has an aspect of being passive, which I like. But eventually that car will depreciate to zero. Eventually those Bitcoin miners won't be powerful enough to mine currency, and it'll also depreciate. With Airbnb, you're doing short-term rentals and the tenants are producing you cash flow and paying off an appreciating property. So you're
it's a
making
double
money
whammy, isn't
in
it?
two ways. And if you look at like a lot of the rich people, like you have your own properties, like it's a very profitable thing. And I think it's something I want to get into.
What type of properties would you be looking at getting?
So kind of like the cheapest Airbnbs you can get are single rooms. So I was like, what if I get like a 5-bedroom house, have like a keypad on every door, and rent out the rooms individually for like $40-50 a day, kind of like a hotel almost.
I think that sounds good. Like, I would never hire one with a person actually staying there. We've done it in the past, but it just feels a bit weird going in and using one of their rooms. But if it's separate rooms with the lockboxes outside, I like that idea.
Yeah, I think we might have struggled with that in the UK because I think there's rules on what are called HMOs, which are houses of multiple occupancy. So I think we might struggle with that, but there might be a little way in that. You might have taught us a little side hustle. Might have a go at that.
I think as well, I was just thinking to myself, this is a bit off topic, but I think I'm going to buy a bit of crypto just so I don't get left behind, just in case, but I still don't believe in it.
He's still on that topic.
I'm just thinking to myself, it's like I'm not being left behind. So I think I'll have a dabble.
Yeah, like 5%.
Just to see.
I was thinking the other day about Airbnb as well. I mean, this place is on Airbnb, and if there'd been an option
Illegally.
Yeah, apparently.
potentially,
You're not meant to have Airbnbs in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I rented one. It must
okay,
not be
yeah,
that illegal.
well, I think it's illegal. They just do it, like everything else in Vegas. It just happens, and what happens here, we don't
won't talk about.
We won't talk about it after here.
Yeah,
Like you with
Mark
your fake
last
ID.
night. Oh my god.
But what I thought would be a good idea as well is if we could have hired this with a car in the garage to use whenever we wanted, that would have been quite a good thing. So maybe Turo could team up with Airbnb and make that you arrive at your Airbnb, there's a car for you to use.
Yeah, that's kind of like my vision. Like I want to like build up in a spot, have a bunch of Turo cars, have some Airbnbs, and the Turo cars are parked in the driveway and you can rent. Like
What a good idea.
I know, it'd be sick.
Yeah, you can pay me a commission in a minute.
Exactly.
No problem.
Yeah.
So what's the long-term vision with the YouTube channel? Obviously, you've got the Airbnb properties coming in the future, but the YouTube channel, what's that going to do?
Well, I definitely want to get to 1 million subscribers. You know, I got that silver play button. Now I got to get the gold one. So I
They're
think
very nice.
yeah, yeah, they're a lot bigger.
You dig
They're very nice.
just rubbing it in, aren't you?
Yeah. But
You'll get there.
We haven't got a silver one for this channel yet. So
yeah,
that is
you're
coming.
close.
It's pending.
Yeah.
But the vision is just to build as many other businesses as I can. What I really like about my strategy on YouTube is I'm trying all these different side hustles, seeing what I like, and whether it works out or whether it doesn't, I'm filming a cool video and I'm educating people on it. And like eventually I'm going to find things that I really like. Like I really like doing the Turo stuff. I want to get into Airbnb. Just keep building up those businesses and documenting the process and just seeing how big I can make it.
And the beauty of it is the YouTube income subsidizes the business.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It makes it so much more likely to succeed.
Yeah, because like, for example, when I started Turo for the first 6 to 8 months, every video was like, oh, I'm losing money. Like all this stuff is going wrong. But I was pretty much breaking even, if not making a little bit of money by producing a video about it.
So I know before you came on the podcast, you were texting me and you had a few questions that you wanted to ask Dad.
You didn't tell me that.
No, I'm gonna throw it over to you to ask your questions.
Sorry, who agreed to this? Who signed the contract?
Make them as hard as possible.
Okay, so they're not too difficult of questions, but I'm curious, what's the most money you've ever made off a single YouTube video?
Well, that's quite an easy one. $105,000.
Wow. A 6-figure salary off a video.
Yeah.
What one was it?
It was one where we take $100 and invest it. I think it was in 7 different ways or 8 different ways. Anything from investing it in an interest account, just normal savings account, to an index fund, to individual shares. But we chose the shares sort of the blind monkey route. So I was the blind monkey. We put a blindfold on and just threw a dart at a dartboard. It came up Samsung. I was amazed I hit it.
You got it near the bullseye.
First time, yeah. And that share went well, which was good. And then we bought 100 lottery tickets, $100
Which
worth
isn't
of
technically an
scratch
investment,
cards.
but we wanted to put something at the end that
I
made
like
it
that.
interesting.
And what
so people
people
would stay.
do with their money, of course, people do that. I mean, they might not buy $100 worth at a go, but over the course of 2 or 3 months or however often they buy them, they're wasting their money on them.
Yeah,
so we
it's
wanted
tax
to see
on the poor.
Yeah, we wanted to see. Yeah, perfect. And we wanted to see what that outcome was. And the nice thing is, the video also made, I think, 2 other videos, didn't it? So showing how those investments had grown.
Well, we made a similar video where we actually did some gambling at the end. It was on
yeah.
it was
Did
on
you see
what
that?
Roobet, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Roobet.
Yeah, so we actually made money at the end
you know
of
what's
that
crazy?
video.
So just so 2 things. So one, that money that they just mentioned was ad revenue only. Obviously, it doesn't include the affiliate income, so it could be upwards of like 200,000 maybe. But yeah, so we made a similar style of video not that long ago.
Investing $1,000.
Yeah, investing $1,000. So we raised the stake. stakes, and we did some different investments, like fine art has been, a bit of a
Oh,
hot
with
topic lately.
Masterworks?
Yeah.
Was it sponsored by Masterworks?
Yeah,
It was sponsored by our friends
hang on, but
Masterworks.
this video isn't, so let's not do
Yeah, so
that.
let's not give them free promo. But anyway, yeah. So these two, I gamble a little bit for fun, but like these two don't really gamble. If we go down the casino, they might have a go on blackjack and stuff like that, but they don't do slots. or
I have
anything
more
like
than a
that.
go at blackjack.
All right, yeah. Curtis goes a bit.
I'm a
bit too
better
hard.
gambler than Kai.
But anyway, so we're trying to make this video, and obviously these two have got like no idea what they're doing. We wanted to do it on like roulette, so you could do a bonus buy, which you can't do in the UK.
And Dad was actually getting a bit ratty. He was like, "How do you do this? I don't
Yeah.
get it.
Well,
What's
so
the point? All these."
Look, the problem is I like to
fruit machine.
understand what I'm going to have a go at, and if I don't know what's happening, but what am I going to
all
do?
he was playing Sweet Bonanza. I'm sure a lot of you know what it is, and like it was pretty obvious what's going to happen. But anyway, so I'm sat on Zoom, and we're like, right, let's just piss this 1,000 up the wall. We know that we're losing this money.
And we were doing it to show how bad gambling
Yeah.
was. You know,
Yeah.
we weren't
Way by
expecting
by.
to win
we
anything.
literally, if you could have ever gambled to want to lose, this was the time. Yeah. And we done a $1,000 bonus buy. I'm sat on the call with my mic muted, just watching it. And bearing in mind that I actually gamble for fun and to try and make money. And I've never had a big win in my life. Yeah. And I've probably gambled way more than 1,000 in my life. $4,000 win on a video where we wanted to lose.
Just kept going up and up and up
Mark
and
was,
up.
he was going
Yeah,
crazy.
what's happening? What's happening? And then you always said, "Oh, we've done 1,000." I said, "Yeah, but there's another ×4 coming in here. ×4, bum, 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 bum." And it was so much money. And you know what? We said, "Well, we're going to have to film that again because there's no way you can show this." So we filmed the exact same scenario again, and we lost with $1,000, and we
I think
lost.
we lost 700 or
Yeah, something like that. Ended up with, well, it's 400 we ended up with, so lost 600. And I said, okay, well, we got the footage we need. Slept on it overnight, and I went into Curtis' room. I said, look, everything about the Mark Tilbury channel is honest.
Yeah.
Everything we've done, everything we've shown, everything we invest in, everything we've said we've invested in, everything in my back catalogue, the whole lot, honestly, guys, is all true. There's no way that we can't show this. So we showed the win on the video and said, look, we didn't think we'd show you this. This is what we shouldn't be. This shouldn't happen. And then we showed that what actually happened the second time.
So that's why
That's
we did
fair.
it again, just to showcase that
Yeah.
even if you get a big win, they will get
Yeah,
their
and,
money back.
and you can show like, here's the percent that what actually happened.
Yeah.
Like the odds are way against you.
what
for
we
sure.
expected to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, have you got any other questions for Dad?
So I'm curious, what age did you make your first million, and what did you do?
Between 23 and 24 years old was my first $1 million. I mean, there isn't like, you don't just get there and there's a fanfare go, "Da-da-da-da, you're a millionaire today. Welcome to the club." It doesn't quite work like that.
Oh, really?
I know it's so,
hoping.
disappointing,
We might as well
isn't it?
we might as well have stopped trying now.
Yeah. But that journey started from 12 years old. I'd say
Wow.
that because I realised at 12 years old you had to make money, you had to hustle to make money. I'd say at 17, 18, I found the point where I was selling all my time. So I knew that wouldn't be enough because I just kept selling my time. It wouldn't make enough money. Then you've got to start investing, looking for passive income streams and all the rest of it. So by the time 23, 24, I was probably in the $1 million club.
Wow, what'd you do?
Radio Control Models is the business that contributed most to that. So radio control, helicopters, aeroplanes, cars, all that sort of thing. Buying and selling, and then eventually using my own designs and getting them manufactured in China. I have two separate businesses, retail shops, and they sell through the southeast of England and obviously online, and the distribution business, which is B2B, B to customer as well, everything, every which way we can sell. They're all my own designs that we have manufactured in Vietnam and China.
Dad's the man when it comes to radio-controlled aircrafts and models and stuff in the UK.
Yeah.
Even
The
some of
goat.
your designs, like you see at flying clubs, don't you? People actually flying the things you made when you were younger. Or
Yeah,
design.
it's great when you go along there and there's a whole line of models and you can go 50% of those are what I designed. And
Wow.
that's really quite cool, really. And it's all about building up your expert status. I competed for the British team for radio control helicopters for years, travelled all over the world competing, including here in the USA, Japan, wherever you mention, I've probably flown. And it's about building up that expert status. You know, if you've done it, you've worn the T-shirt, you've got some background on it, and 35 years of experience ends up being about 55 years old. So that's why I am the age I am.
That is awesome.
But back to you, Will. I think
oh
that
yeah,
was
no,
it.
I have another question actually. Or
Right, Tom, you know what to do.
You enjoy answering these questions way too much.
Well,
This isn't your fault.
look,
Well, it's
the-
your
I like
podcast.
it.
The
I
thing,
like it.
The thing with business is, and particularly with youngsters like yourself, if you've got the get up and go to ask someone who's in business, they should share that knowledge with you. And that's what the whole channel is built up on, is to bring anyone that wants to start a business, wants to elevate, live their life, get a better lifestyle, a bit of power behind their life. That's what it's about. So I will answer the question.
I'm curious.
I think I'm going to answer the question.
How you have like 6 or 7 million followers on TikTok, right?
Yeah, 7.2.
Wow. I'm curious. How much money have you made from the creator fund? Because I'm curious, because I hear people like Mr. Beast saying they've made like 30 grand when they have that many followers. The pay is not great, and I'm curious, with like your hundreds of millions of views, how much have you made?
The difference is we got billions of views. Haven't we?
Really?
Literally billions of views. So it makes a big difference. So you've got to bear that in mind. So we've made about $14,000 to $15,000.
No, 12. It's
No
not
way.
14 to 15,000. It's $12,000.
There you
Wow,
go.
I've made like $1,500.
Yeah.
That is insane. That's not good at all for how many views that is.
And bearing
That's
in mind
insane.
that we were just talking about making 100 grand off one video
YouTube
on
video.
YouTube.
So
know?
you had to transition that audience.
But the thing you've got to bear in mind, and what we were speaking about just now, if one of those clips inspires one youngster to go, you know what, I can make it. It's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah. I would say if you see someone doing something successfully that you want to do, it's definitely possible. Like if someone's doing it, just learn from them, take information, and don't reinvent the wheel. Just see what's working and go for it.
Get
Dad
off
says-
your ass and do it.
Yeah.
You say make the wheel spin a little bit different, don't you?
Yeah. The wheel's been invented. You can rearrange the spokes. You can put a better tread tire on it. You can do all sorts of things. You haven't got to reinvent it.
Yeah.
It's been done.
So, Will, when is enough?
What?
I'm taking your question.
It's my question.
I'm taking it today. When is enough?
I don't think I would ever just like stop working, because I really enjoy everything that I do. But I would say if I can get 5 million, I'm good. Like I don't think I need that much money, but I'd probably keep going.
I think at your age you need about 10.
Think so?
Yeah, I do. If you want to be comfortable, put it in a fund, take 3% off it every year. It's never going to go down. You'll be sorted
Yeah.
for the whole of your life because you are young. Now, obviously, the older you get, the less you need. So for myself, it would be less, but it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
But, it's a great amount of money. 10 million is a
10
great
mil.
amount of money. And aim for it, because the trajectory you're going on, you should be able to get there. Don't put yourself a figure of 5, because you might get there and go, oh, let's sit down. Just in case. Get it a bit
All right.
higher.
Do you see yourself in Will a bit? Would you be like him if you were younger?
I was like him when I was younger.
Yeah, but
I just
making
didn't-
videos
I just-
on YouTube.
Would you have been
just-
making videos?
I just didn't have a video camera. You know what? There used to be a film, not a film, a program on children's television when I was young, when I was doing the candy and stuff, and it was called Screen Test. And really, it was a program where you had to remember what was shown on the little clip of the film, and they'd ask you questions, you get the answer. But there was a bit in the middle, and it was about Young Filmmaker of the Year. And I always watched that, and I always wish I could do it. But you had to have a cine camera. You had to have an editing thing where you could actually cut film and
Imagine
glue
trying
it,
to vlog with that.
Yeah, and glue it together. And I did make a couple of little bits, but I think even back then, I think the films for a cine camera are about £6 or £7. And when you bear in mind, when I went to work, I was earning £1. Just under £1 an hour, plus I did get a bonus on that, 5 pence tool money. So you added up those 5 pences to buy the tools you needed to do the job that you were employed to do.
What?
Nuts.
Yeah, how about
They
that?
act like that's a bonus. Wow. Do you think you would have been more successful or less successful growing up in today's day and age?
More.
More? I agree. I think now is easy time.
Now it really, really is, and we were discussing this the other night on a podcast we were doing.
On the iced coffee hour, we can say it, but you were getting a bit of pushback because you were saying like now with a phone, there's so much opportunity in your hand, whereas Alex behind the camera was saying, well, because everyone's got it, it's a level playing field. But it's all about how you use the tools you've got.
I
isn't it?
agree.
And
There's
the
so many
answer is,
bums.
Yeah, they're all on there. They're like zombies. Whoa, like this on TikTok. Oh, there's Mark Tilbury. That's interesting. Oh, there he is again. Oh, yeah. So actually, you've got an advantage because they're all on it, not using it. You've got a tool that you can use to its fullest extent.
Capture the people not using it.
Yeah, I would say like a lot of people just aren't willing to put in the work. That's why like people sometimes ask me like, are you nervous putting out information on side hustles? I'm like, bro, most of the people aren't going to do what you give them advice to do. And even if you do give them the advice and they actually put it to work, there's enough for everyone to win. In
It's
my
an
opinion.
abundance mindset,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's what I think we've got from today. You coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Did you have another
brilliant.
question?
No, don't worry. No.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's been absolutely brilliant. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to smash that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, and we will see you next Friday with a brand new podcast. So it's goodbye from me.
Don't forget to comment on the flamingo shirt, and it's goodbye from everyone else. See you later,
later.
guys. Bye.
That's funny.
How was that? Woo. We smashed it, boy.
I like it.